It's how life works.
On a boat. I think it's kind of how life works in general. Sometimes you wake up and you're not planning to do a deep clean of the floor, but there it is. Today is a day when you have to do a deep clean of the floor because last night you were too tired to pay attention to the bottle of olive oil that was sitting precariously in the cockpit and got knocked over and spilled all night long.
So I remember reading this story about somebody going on a retreat at a Zen monastery, and they were a very busy person.
Pull your glasses up so you don't look like an old man.
I am an old man. And they were given the task of picking up all of the leaves in a certain portion of the garden, one by one, by hand. So every morning she would wake up and go out and pick up the leaves one by one in the morning. And then the next day it'd be full of leaves again. And there's something really interesting about that assignment, because it sort of rips you away from your sense of what matters. Because really at the end of the day, the things that we get so stressed out about very rarely matter very much. And it turns your attention to something that on the face of it doesn't matter at all. But somehow in doing the thing that doesn't matter at all, that makes no difference, as it were, the leaves are there the next day. Somewhere in the labor, you can find, if you're open to it, what's the thing here? What's the thing to fill the silence? Maybe I would say you find contemplation or something like that. You can relate to the act of doing the thing that you're doing in a contemplative way.
So I actually need to scrub the bottom.
I will scrub the bottom off here.
Can you do that?
What?
Watch the dripping water for rugs! No, seriously, you're about to soak the rugs.
Which rugs?
That rug.
Oh, that stinks.
We spilled some olive oil in the cockpit yesterday, guys. We tracked a bunch of oil down the stairs, into the salon, it went under the floorboards, and it got really slippery and dangerous. So we had to stop what we were going to do that day, which was go shopping, and instead of shopping, we did something called do an entire clean out of the floor in the cockpit.
Alright, so we're cleaning the floor and the crash pump isn't working.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Why would anything mechanical ever work when it's supposed to do the job it's designed to do?
Yeah. So we're going to come in here. This has actually happened before.
This has happened before, and this will happen again.
The problem, I believe, is right here. It's this thing right here.
What is that, and is it going to explode?
It's not going to explode. It's just the filter to help the pump from getting clogged.
Yep, don't know if you can tell on camera, but this is totally gag worthy.
Okay. All right. So there's a little filter pump that sort of catches the grime from the bilge before it goes into the pump, and that protects the mechanism, but occasionally you have to clean it out. That's one of those regular maintenance items that we're not very good at, but we will do it when the situation gets dire.
As you can see, much cleaner. You can actually see the filter through the thing, not all of the grime.
Honestly, if we get this footage
Yeah.
today, we could use the frog and toads, because washing the floor, deep cleaning the floor is not on my list of things to do today. We could use the list story
Yes.
as the structuring principle, because it's just so funny.
This is Frog and Toad, one of my favorite books. And the story I'm going to read is a list. In the story, Toad wakes up and makes a list of things to do. There's a list, and then something happens. This list blows away. And this is the really funny part. Hurry, said Frog. We will run and catch it. No, shouted Toad. I cannot do that. Why not? Asked Frog. Because, wailed Toad, running after my list is not one of the things that I wrote on my list of things to do.
There's the list way of doing things. You write down all of the things to do today on a list. They become boxes that you have to tick off. It creates a certain kind of rigidity to the day. And the things that need doing become things that need to get done. So they're an item that you complete, and then you tick off your list, and then you move on to the next thing. I think for a long time I've been after a different way of doing things, a different way of being in the day, so that the activities of working, of manual labor, become activities in which the contemplative is possible. That the day becomes a kind of fluidity, like the water, like the weather, like time when it's not ticked by a clock. I think there's this really interesting story in this book we read once about someone trying to teach a child from a tribe how to tell time, and he just appeared not to be getting it, and that at one point he said, I understand what you want me to do, I just don't think the day should be divided up like that. And I think there's something really interesting about this idea of the ways that we divide our days. We divide them into hours, minutes, seconds. We divide them into lists of things to do, places to be, people to meet. It's a non-stop way of rigidifying the day into these compartmentalized tasks. It's very hard for me to imagine how we find contemplative space in that way of being. And so I think we're after something else out here, a way of resisting that kind of rigidification, a way of embracing activities that are part of every day. Sometimes it's cleaning up the oil spill, and sometimes it's doing the laundry, which out here we only can do on days when the weather permits. So we need a relatively sunny and windy day to dry out the clothes so they don't mold. The dishes, the picking up, which is kind of endless. These are all activities that for a mom become part of every day, and they can be very tedious. But I think if done in the right way and in the right spirit, they can also be an opening into the space from which poetry flows.